Hey everybody, Stephen Riddell asked a question about the Jazz Clues program, particularly working with Jazz Clue 3, which are the four-note voicings of our jazz chords. For those of you who haven't done the Jazz Clues program, a lot of this conversation may not make sense, but for those of you who have, which is many of you, I'm going to dig into this a little bit, and there's a few ways to look at all of this. Firstly, what I've got to say from the beginning is just to remember that this is called the Jazz Clues program, not the Jazz Answers program. So the design of this is not to answer all the questions. The design of it is to give you some clues that that are accessible to comparatively entry-level players to be able to play jazz-style music in an acceptable and meaningful and great-sounding way. The Jazz Clue 3, where we're getting now into four-note chord voicings. Stephen, you asked specifically with Here to Stay, the B minor 7 flat 5 has a C, not a C sharp. Really, it has neither. So it's not really the addition of a flat 9. So with that particular chord, the melody's da 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 as it goes there from the B minor 7 flat 5 to the E7 flat 9. But whilst it's the minor 7 flat 5, if it was just the B minor 7th, you'd be playing B and A in the left hand, and you'd be playing your D and your F sharp in the right hand. But all we're doing now is we're taking the 5th, the F sharp, and bringing it down to an F, da da da, where we'd move to the E7 flat 9, da 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 dum. So I wouldn't be using the C or C sharp at all in that instance. So leave out the flat 9. So the right hand is C, D, F, correct? No, just the D and F. Also the E7 flat 9, the right hand, you've got F, G sharp, C sharp. So when we move down to the E7 flat 9, we've got to have the F. There's a couple of alternatives here. First of all, let's just forget the flat 9 for a second. So if we were talking about the E7th, so really what we'd be talking about would be the E and the D in the left hand, and we'd be talking about the G sharp and the B. That would be an E7th. The flat 9 is there, which is the F. Now, yes, definitely you can add that in. That's going to be a 5-note voicing. If you don't want to use the 5-note voicing, you can leave out the G sharp. Now, given that the melody's going da 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 dum, so where is it picking up that flavour of the third? You could actually potentially you could leave it out. You could leave out the flat 9 because it's being picked up by the melody da 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 dum. But if you want to actually be authentic to the chord, you'd put it in. If you want it to be authentic to the 4-note voicings, you're going to leave out the third. If you want to have it in there and give authentic flavour and colour, you can make it a 5-note voicing, but that's a different style approach. So I hope I'm not moving too quickly here. You've said we include the 6th even on the flat 9th chords, yes? No, not necessarily. You start including a 6th and you're now giving the colour and the flavouring of a 13th chord. And sometimes that's appropriate, but very often the flavour of the 6th does shift the mood of the chord all in all. I'd be just leaving that out completely. What about the 11th? The suspended and the diminished chords in If You Call? Well, once again, the Jazz Clues program doesn't get into all of the adequate voicings of those more extended chords. The 11th one is an easy one. Let me just go over to If You Call. We're on the A11th. Now, if you remember from the accompaniment program, we talked about the 11th chord holding the root in the left hand and the triad just moves down a whole tone. So effectively, we're playing a G chord over an A. You do exactly the same with the 11th chord. You just play the upper 2 notes of the G chord and 1 and 7 in the left. So that's how I'd be voicing that one. So when you're coming from the D major 7th, da da dum. So where am I with my D major 7th? Dum, B minor 7th, da 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 dum dum, ba da dum. And so effectively you'll see that the top 2 notes of the E minor 7th remain for the A11th. That's how I'd be handling that. With the, where else is it? The suspended chord. Well, the suspended chord is not a 7th chord. So in that instance, I think we're on a D suspended. Where are we? Yeah, down here, D suspended. the 7th, you're going to create a different tonality if you try to put in a 7th, because it's really not. Neither the dominant nor the major 7th are relevant in that chord. So in that instance, yeah, you need to make an exception. You probably need to go back to 1 and 5, and potentially just putting in the 1 and the suspended note, resolving to the 3rd. Yeah, there's one of these anomalies that the rule of the clue is not the answer. It's just a clue, and there's lots of subtle exceptions there. The 13th chord, I think that's pretty straight one, and you'd be using the accompaniment program as well. We talked about that 13th chord having a triad and moving the upper note up a whole tone and the lower note down a whole tone or a whole step. So what piece are you talking about? High 5. Let me go over to high 5. The 13th chord, where is the 13th chord appearing? It is on this page? No, on the next page. Let me see. Well, there's an A flat 13th. Is that the first one we're talking about? Okay, so let's take an A flat chord. Let's take the top note up a whole step, the bottom note down. There's our 13th chord. The top 2 notes can become there's your 13th. So you've got 1 and 7 in the left hand, and you've actually, effectively you've got your 3 and your 6, which is your 13. So actually, that's a pretty easy one to work with. So anyway, that's a lot of content and a more complex answer, but I hope that addresses your questions, and reach out if there's anything further. See you guys.